This video is intended for students in the Introduction to Music Fundamentals module, and it is about how to transcribe the song that you composed together at the very beginning of this module. I'm going to give you a step-by-step process so that you'll be able to see exactly how what you have learned this semester can be helpful to you when you are writing down a composition of your own. So let's look at the first step. You'll remember that in the first lecture, I sang a song to you which I had composed for my son as a lullaby. I'm going to play it for you just as a reminder. While you are listening to it, see if you can watch me as I find the pulse of the music. This would be the first step for you also when you are listening to your own compositions. You're going to be looking for the pulse. Remember the difference between pulse and beat? The pulse is the combination of beats. And remember, a pulse can divide into 2 or to 3. We'll be looking at that again just now. So we're looking for the pulse of the piece of music. That's what you would normally tap your foot to if you were listening to any piece of music, what you would naturally tap your foot to. So here is the little Zulu lullaby that I composed. Remember, I'm not a Zulu first language speaker, so my pronunciation is a little bit faulty, but I remember you having a good giggle at me. So just enjoy it while you can hear it.
Tula tula bantwana.
I'm going to find the pulse while it's going.
Tula tula bantwana. Tula tula bantwana.
And you'll see it's quite easy to find the pulse. You should be able to find the pulse of your song quite easily. We'll just let it finish so that you can get a real good feel of this. Now, as this process unfolds, you'll see that I'm going to play the full song every time. Because the more that you hear the piece of music, the more it embeds itself into your memory so that you will be able to reproduce it as a written score. Our second step is to divide the pulse into 2 or 3. Here we're going to see if the pulse can divide itself naturally into 2 or naturally into 3, because that will help us to decide what time signature this piece of music is in. So let's listen to it again now, and let's see if we can work out if it divides into 2 or 3. Here's the pulse. If we divide the pulse into 2, it goes like this. So this naturally divides into 2. Usually music that is in 3 or divides into 3 will quite naturally feel as though it's going into 3. So that shouldn't be too difficult for you to find. Most of your songs will will divide into 2 naturally. Remember that if it divides into 2, it's called simple time. But if it divides into 3, it's called compound time. Simple time are the time signatures like 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. Compound time 6/8, 9/8, 12/8. Remember, the pulse in the time determines how many beats there are. So in 2/4, ba, 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 ba. In 3/4, ba, ba, ba. In 4/4, ba, 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 ba. In simple time, it goes in 2/4, ba, 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 ba. They divide into 2. Each beat divides into 2. Then in 3/4, it divides also into 2. Ba, 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 ba. All right? And so forth. In compound time, it would sound like this. Ba, 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 ba. 3 for each pulse. So now we have discovered so far that the pulse is simple time. Our next step will be able to work out what the actual time signature of this piece is, because that is what we'll need to be able to transcribe it. We know that it's in simple time, so it must be 2/4, 3/4, or 4/4. Let's see if we can work out which one it is.
Tula, tula,
Here's the pulse.
bantwana. Tula, tula, bantwana. Tula, tula, bantwana. Tula, tula, bantwana.
Now, this is a very clear version of 3. Listen to it again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If I count 4, you'll see it won't work. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. You'll see it doesn't work. So this is definitely in 3. The song has a strong feel of 3, and so we've worked out that because it's a simple time signature, it's in 3, it must be 3/4. Okay, that's important. We've worked out a simple time signature, and now we know that the actual beats, there are 3 in each bar. What you may have noticed is that the cycle of 3 does not begin on the first pulse in this song. It actually begins on the 3rd pulse. So it goes 1, 2. Siyabonga. The first 2 pulses are quiet. Then it only starts on the 3rd. Remember, that is called an upbeat. Many songs begin on an upbeat, and maybe your own song also begins on an upbeat. So don't be tempted to think that the first note of your song is the first beat of the bar. It may be an upbeat. So now let's see if we can notate that rhythm. I'm going to let it play, and let us see if we can work out when we are clapping which notes are 1 pulse and which notes divide into 2 pulses. Okay, we'll be using the words tula tula so that you can see which ones have 2 syllables per note and which just 1.
Tula, tula, bantwana.
1, 2.
Tula, tula,
1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
Tula, tula, bantwana. Tula, tula, bantwana.
So the first thing I'm going to do while it's still playing, I'm going to write 3, 3, 4. That's our time signature. Here's the first bar line. We know that it started on an upbeat. So, was that upbeat 1 beat, or did the beat divide into 2? Let me sing it for you again. Here's the beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Tula, tu. If we listen to that carefully, for 1 clap there were 2 notes. Tula. So we know that it's not a crotchet, but 2 quavers that start the music. There are the 2 quavers. Listen again. 1, 2. Tula. 2 notes over the 1 beat. Then the next bar, this is where the first beat starts. 1, 2. Tula, tula. 1 note per clap. So those are going to be crotchets. Tula, tula. Now, the next word, abantwana, aban, 2 notes for 1 beat. So we've got quavers again. Let's count the beats. Now we've got 1 crotchet, 2 crotchets, 3 crotchets in a bar here, so we need to complete the bar. Then, let's sing again from the beginning. Tula, tula, abantwana. Twa and na are each 1 clap per beat, so they must be crotchets. There, I've written them in for you. Then it starts with the words again, tula. Tula, tu. There we've got 2 quavers again. So this is from the beginning again. 1, 2. Tula, tula, abantwana. Tula, tula. Again, we have 2 crotchets. Again, from the beginning. Tula, tula, abantwana. Tula, tula, aban. Another 2 notes, which means per beat, which means that we are dealing with quavers. And then I'm just going to go on to the next line here. Listen again. Tula, tula, abantwana. Tula, tula, abantwan. 1 note covering 2 beats. That must be a minim. So that's our next beat. Then the cycle starts again. Tula, tula, abantwan. So it's the same cycle over and over again. So if we could write that in, this is what it would look like. And it carries on just like that. Okay, so this is your next step. You're going to notate the rhythm. This is very much like when I am doing dictation with you in the class. If I clap the rhythm out to you, you are rewriting it. This is exactly what you are trying to do, but you are isolating only the rhythm, not the melody at the same time. So this is the 4th step. The next step is to notate the words under the rhythms. And you've seen this being done before. In our 2nd lecture, I did that when we were looking at Nkosi Sikelele. So let's think about how this works. It starts tula, tu. If we break tula up into 2 syllables, it's tu and la. So we could write here tu, la. Now you can see that each of the quavers represents one of the syllables. Tula, okay? And then it starts again with another tu, la. Tula, tula, a, ban, twan. Ah. Now if we sing that, tula, tula, abantwana. And it starts again. Tula, tula, abantwan. I'll write that in for you. Tula, tula, abantwan. You'll see that every time I break up a syllable of a word, I put a small line in between it to show that this is still one word. So if you are breaking up a word into many syllables, you put that small little dash in between to indicate that this is still part of one word. If you look at abantwana, for example, you'll see that I've put a little line in between each of the 4 syllables to indicate that it is still one word. But you do not put a line in between the 2 syllables tula a for tula abantwana because they are separate words, so that there's a gap in between. So that's how you do it. You break up the words into syllables, and between each of the syllables of a complete word, you add a little dash. Here is an example of what it would look like if I had written it out on a music program. There you can see tula, tula, abantwana. Each of the syllables reflected under each of the notes. Now, you may have in your own example where there are several notes over one syllable. How do you do that? I'm going to write it for you here so that you could see it. Imagine that we had the word tula and there were 3 different notes. Let's imagine that there are 3 different musical notes. Imagine it went tula. I'll write that down for you so you could see what it would look like. Tu, la. Then we would put a small slur, that's called a slur, underneath it to indicate that there are 3 different notes all for the one syllable. That's how you would do it if you find that in your own piece of music there are many notes for one syllable. You write out the syllable underneath with those little lines and then a curved line underneath the notes to indicate that they are all reflecting one syllable. Right, then the last step is, how do you work out the pitches of the piece of music that you've been singing? We've been going tula tula abantwana. It started high and it came lower. At this point in your education, you haven't learned how to dictate music. So what I would like you to do is to sit at a piano. You all know how to find middle C on a piano now. So once you've found middle C, you can find all of the other notes on the piano. I want you then to sing along with your recording. Sing along with the recording to find out what the first note is. Sing that note and then match it on the piano. If I were to sit at the piano now and sing tu, I would know that is an A. Okay, I just know that because I've been doing music for a long time. It is an A. So I would write down tu as an A, and it's a quaver. So let me show you what I mean. If you look at the music that is up on the screen now, you'll see that tu, which is tula, tula are both the same note, aren't they? So they're both A's. I've written two A's there, and I've joined them together as two quavers, just like they were when we were notating the rhythm. If you listen to tula, tu, one step down, that's a G. So the second tu of tula is a G, but it's a crotchet this time. Listen, tula, tu, la. That is an E, so we make that a separate E on the stave. You've learned how to write these notes on the stave now, so this is going to be a little bit of a test of your knowledge to see if you can apply what you've learned about pitch into the song that you have actually written as a group. So let's go through those steps once again. You're going to start, step one is to find the pulse of the music. So you're going to see where your foot would naturally tap. This is so that you can find out if the pulse divides into 2 or to 3. Does the pulse divide into 2 or 3 so that you can work out if it's simple time or compound time that your piece of music is in. Once you've worked out whether it's in 2 or 3, you'll need to work out if it's 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, or 6/8, 9/8, 12/8. You're going to work out what the time signature is. And you're going to do that by clapping along with your song to find out where the strong beats are. In the song that I wrote, it was tula, tula, abantwana, tula, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Your song might be quite different, so you'll need to clap along to find out where the strong beats are. Then, step 4 was to notate the rhythm on its own. Don't try and notate the rhythm and the melody at the same time. It's too much for your brain to do in one go at this point in your education. Just do the rhythm. Once you've done the rhythm and you've notated the words underneath, then you can start doing step 6, which is to sit at the piano and work out what each note is that you have been singing in your original song. Once you've worked all of those things out, try and write out your composition or the melody of your composition from beginning to end. You are going to hand that in to me so that I can see how accurate it is and how much you've already learned so far in this course.